All right, welcome to All Yankees Talk. I'm Delilah Bork.
I'm Jordan Renz. Hello, everybody.
And yeah, for our first episode, we're going to get into spring training, right?
It's coming up very tomorrow, depending on when you're listening. If you're listening Friday, it's today, but very excited. Spring training finally here. I mean, the baseball off season's like the shortest of anything, obviously. So it's really not too bad. Like MLS is starting again this weekend too. So those are the ones with like the shorter off seasons where like if you're a football guy, you got to wait a long time before anything good ramps up. But
And
baseball, we're getting right back
14
into it.
games too. You have, we sort of get spoiled in baseball that there's, as far as I remember, there's going to be a spring training game tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday and Monday. And for a good long time until October, there will be baseball pretty much every day.
It's nonstop. And then World Baseball Classic too. Obviously, if anyone's watching the Olympics, there's that going on. So there's a lot of stuff for mid-February, late February. We got a lot going on and a lot of Yankee stuff to talk about too. And I can't wait to get into it.
Definitely. Well, something that we've seen going around on social media that I think Yankees fans will be curious about is Ryan McMahon, the Yankees third baseman, taking reps at shortstop while Anthony Volpe is injured.
Yeah, so I think this is interesting because I don't think there's any guarantee Volpe's going to come back and be the everyday shortstop again, which has been something that's been building for quite some time. Obviously, you look at his numbers, they've been down every year. He's just one of those guys where he just, for whatever reason, he's not able to figure it out. And fans want him to. They want to be on his side, they want to be rooting for him, but just something hasn't been clicking. And now this shoulder injury is holding him back, obviously. So we're going to see when he comes back. Obviously, you got Caballero now going to play short. He's going to start there. But Ryan McMahon is interesting because I think when you look at the Yankees bench, it's with the roster projection and where things are at, it's kind of third base heavy, right? So if you're able to move McMahon over from third to short, it's going to put him in an interesting position, obviously, because he's typically a third baseman. That's what he's used to. That's where he's good at. But offensively, he's not the best guy in the world. So the Yankees are going to rely on him for his defensive talents, but it's just a matter of where he's going to play. I don't think anyone should expect him to play 100 games at shortstop this year. I think that
I
would
agree.
be crazy. But just seeing him get those shortstop reps is interesting because, I mean, like we talked about, Volpe's kind of up in the air as it stands. I think he's going to be out probably the first month or so. That's also give or take a
I
little
think that's
bit,
what I said.
but I mean, yeah, like I'm curious your thoughts on it, McMahon, what he's going to do at short and kind of the rest of the infield, how it's going to look.
I mean, I'm a McMahon apologist for sure. I think that maybe he is not even the best defender, but looking at where the Yankees were before the trade deadline at third last season, it was a mess. I had Chisholm there, who is he's just a second baseman in the same sense that Paul Goldschmidt was a first baseman. They were not going to move him over to third, even when they had him taking some fielding drills at third. So they got McMahon because they missed out on Suarez. And in my opinion, they had to pivot to McMahon. And I think that he really added something. I mean, not every single player on the roster can put up 30 home runs in a season, even though that's what we would like them to do. But I think McMahon's a great fielder. I mean, I loved when he fell into the Red Sox bullpen last season during the wild card series. That was like a funny moment, and that I think speaks to the dedication he has. And he gave a very, I think, classic diplomatic answer about taking reps at third, which was pretty much, I'm going to try it out. I haven't played it, but like I'm a ball player and I want to see what happens. So I think it's curious that they would pick McMahon to be the one to try and have like let's see if you can play shortstop maybe in an emergency. Um in my opinion, maybe Rice would also be a good fit to try and see what he can do because he's a little bit younger and I think a little bit more dexterous. He plays catcher, he plays outfield, so he moves around a little bit more than I would imagine McMahon's accustomed to. But I think regardless, it's good and it's interesting to see a more veteran position player taking reps at shortstop in lieu of Volpe because ultimately, while Volpe can, for whatever reason, hit a ton of homers, he can't get on base all that well. And he doesn't have a great batting average. And he committed like 19 errors, I believe, last season, just as many as he committed homers. So where he'll go after recovery, I think will be really interesting because I also think Yankees fans were pretty tough on him without knowing the full extent of his shoulder injury, which the team also didn't know the full extent of the labrum tear. But yeah, I'll be curious. I wish that I could see like some footage like of
Right.
McMahon at shortstop. Or I mean, it would be so sick if they started him at shortstop tomorrow. Why not? It's their spring training opener against the Orioles. See what you can do. But that actually I think brings us to a good place to talk about what the starting lineup could look like tomorrow.
Yeah, so we got kind of a little bit of insight, which is nice because I mean, spring training, you never really know, right? You know, you're going to get your prospects, those non roster invites, things like that. But, and especially with the World Baseball Classic, it's going to throw a wrench in quite a few teams starting lineups. Like, we know Judge, we'll get to him eventually, but like he's going to miss quite a bit of a time. But it's not like he's not hitting 200 at bats in spring training anyway. So it's not the end of the world, obviously. But Chris Kirshner, the athletic, he announced that Austin Wells, Jose Caballero, Jazz Chisholm, and Ahmed Rosario, they're going to be playing in some games right away, and they're going to be starting in this first one, which I think is interesting because don't expect them to play more than a couple innings, obviously. They're going to get some fielding. They're going to get in at bat, maybe two. Like, they're just going to ease them into it. But to see those four guys particularly get some nice early at bats, I think is really all that matters because I haven't looked at who the Orioles, if they've even announced who their starting pitcher is going to be. We know who the Yankees is, but it's not about who you're facing. It's not about what you're looking at on the other side. It's what you have in your team. And these are four guys who are going to be playing a lot. Wells, I actually just wrote about him the other day. He was named, I'm pretty sure he was the number 8 out of the top 10 catchers in the league. ESPN put him at number 8. I think he can be a top 5 catcher offensively. Like, the sky's the limit with him. So you want to avoid an injury, obviously. You don't want anything crazy to happen in spring training, but the two left-handed catcher situation is always interesting. But Wells is number 1. He's going to be the top guy. And then we talked about shortstop, so I won't mention that a whole lot. But obviously, you've got Jazz at second. A real interesting piece came about him today in The Athletic, where he's eyeing a 50-50 season. I mean, hey, shoot for the stars, right? Like, I'm really hoping that he would be able to do something like that. It's, I would say, relatively unrealistic, but at the end of the day, like, if you don't have goals like that, why are you playing the game? You know what I mean? So for him to get
Absolutely.
in spring training and like just immediately get going, like, that's what you want to see if you're the Yankees, especially because you know he's really not moving too much. Like, second base, that's going to be where he's at, I would say, pretty much all season long. And then the moral of the story is he going to be traded? Is he going to be extended? That's a whole nother topic. We could spend an hour on talking about Jazz and his future with the team. But then I kind of mentioned it before. You got Rosario at third. I think the Yankees are pretty heavy with third baseman right now, which obviously isn't a problem, but corner infield, they're good. I mean, they brought back Goldie, who's not certainly not the best guy in the world, but he's a good veteran presence to have around. Like, this risk-free signing doesn't really matter at the end of the day. He's going to back up Rice. He's going to be just fine. But I think this little quartet is a really fun group of 4 to get things going with. And then we're going to get Judge Saturday. So it's going to pick up in no time. But these 4 are a good starting bit. And overall, like, I mean, it's spring training. If all 4 of them strike out twice and no one gets a hit, like, don't overreact. It's going to be okay. It's just game 1. It's going to be February 20th. Like, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, I personally I love Jazz so much. I think that his energy is infectious. I think that he is just a fun presence on the team, which in my opinion the Yankees need because they
Mhm.
can be a little bit the organization I think can be a little bit stiff. And then they have these guys like Judge, who's a great leader, but I think is a bit reserved and a bit, takes being the face of the team very seriously as he should. So I think it's fun to have a guy like Jazz who lets loose a little bit more, has a little bit of fun. There were some clips of him mic'd up freestyling while like doing some sort of drill. And I just love Jazz's personality, but I also think that like I think he's an incredible player. He had a 30-30 season last year, which it was a year he was out with an injury for an entire month. So I think that 50-50 maybe is ambitious, but like you said, you want to have ambition. You want to say, I'm going to have a 50-50 season. I want to win the World Series, or what are you doing it for? No
Mhm.
one is 8 years old saying, one day I really hope that I can lose in 4 games in the ALDS, you know?
No.
So I really will be excited to see how Jazz does. And similarly with Wells, I agree with you that I think that he has not even approached his ceiling. I know last year he had a bit of a slump, I believe around July, where he was then playing backup catcher to Rice because they had Goldschmidt in at first, which I think could be a scenario that we maybe see arise this season. Not necessarily with Wells slumping, but certainly I could see some games against lefty pitchers where they think, let's start Goldie at first because he has such a high batting average to lefties compared to righties. And then they want to keep Rice in maybe even over Wells because Rice also just can hit bomber after bomber. And they want him in as catcher. But I'll be curious to see how he goes because I think that he's such a great catcher. It was very odd last season that he had sort of like a few weeks where he just wasn't playing offense very well. But he was so essential to their 2024 World Series run that I agree that the sky's the limit for him, really. And he, in my opinion, has the starting job all season.
100%.
And JC Escara, I see maybe bouncing between the minors and the majors again for another year, but not in a way that's because he's bad. Wells is just so good.
Absolutely, I agree. I think the I don't know. I'm still not completely on board with the double lefty catcher scenario, but at this point, like what is there to do about it? You know what I mean? Like this team has talked about adding a right-handed outfielder for so long and they've added nothing. So I think they're just kind of content with where they are and they're just so focused on the whole running it back thing. It's not an issue. Like there's certainly nothing wrong with it. It's just I think there could be quite a few problems that arrive eventually later in the year. But like for now, they like what they have and I also think you can't really workshop the problems until the problems present themselves. So like
Absolutely.
until there's like an issue and a big deal where, hey, we've got two lefty catchers, or hey, we have Goldschmidt hitting way more than he's supposed to, or hey, whatever happens in the outfield, like whatever it is, I don't think you can really plan for any of I mean, you can obviously plan for it, but like until you hit rock bottom or until you realize like this isn't working because it's a month-long slump or because it's just too many righty pitchers or lefty, whatever it may be. Like, I don't know. I think where the Yankees are at right now is fine, but I'm really excited to see pitching wise what they have coming up. And I know that's the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. So they have Elmer Rodriguez, who last season I believe was their end of the season at their third or fifth top prospect in the Yankee system, pitching tomorrow. And I mean I don't see any reason why he doesn't debut this season, depending on how obviously his spring training and minor leagues go.
Yeah, he had 7 or 14 quality starts last year in the minors. So if you're looking at just his one AAA appearance, he had a 7.2 ERA. He pitched 5 innings and gave up a ton of runs. But like that was one AAA appearance. You can't go off of that, obviously. That's just such a small sample size. Gave up 8 hits, 4 runs in that. But other than that, he was dominant in AA. 5-3 record, 2.64 ERA. Started all 11 games he pitched in, obviously, through 61 innings in that. So I mean, he really had just a lot of experience and high A too. He was 6-4 with a 2.26. So like he was really, really good last year. And then, like I said, it was one AAA appearance. So like whatever, it is what it is. He's gonna start the year in AAA, I'm sure, and then kind of work his way up. I don't expect him to be in this opening day lineup or in the starting five to start. Obviously, he still needs a little bit of work, but he's 22 years old. Like again, I said it before, the sky's the limit. Like this kid has been really, really good. He's got some nasty stuff. He's got a 22-19 career record in the minors. Pitchers win-loss record. You can't always go off of it, but what you can go off of is his 2.59 ERA and 333 in the third innings. I mean, he has got some really, really good stuff, and he's shown it already in his young career. Like he's been skyrocketing through these minors. So again, I'm fully on board with the lefty or the righty being able to be on the majors eventually. He's 6'3", 160. I know we're going to talk about his counterpart that's pitching Saturday later, but I think his frame is a whole lot more normal. But obviously, Yankees will have to get used to something else. But when it comes to one and two top prospects pitching wise, we're going to see them both Friday and Saturday. And again,
Mhm.
if this guy goes out there, he pitches 3 innings, gives up 5 runs, it's okay. Like that's what these games are for. That's what these innings are for. It's just about getting him out there. You would love to see him go 4 scoreless, and that would be a successful spring training debut. But he might not pitch more than 2 innings. Like all of these guys are going to be on a very low pitch count to start, especially like, yeah, you're doing your batting practice and all of your stuff leading into spring training, but like live game action, it's a totally different thing. But I'm a huge Rodriguez guy. I love both of these pitchers we're going to see in these first 2 games, but I think Rodriguez definitely has a very, very high ceiling.
I agree, and even, you mentioned sort of his build and how it's not typically what we see. I'm, such a big Paul Skeens person. Paul Skeens is huge, and, I do think that Rodriguez could kind of obviously, he likely won't, grow an additional 3 inches, but, the scouting report for him on MLB.com does mention the work that he's put in to add some mass, pack on some muscle, and I even believe that that report was written last season. So I think that he has a very high ceiling with what he can do to sort of look like the MLB pitcher that people expect. And I am really excited to see how he does tomorrow. I agree with you. There's no reason to panic that this prospect isn't going to work out if he gives up a few runs to the Orioles in the first spring training game of the year after only playing one AAA game. Um, I think in an ideal world, he has maybe even a similar path to Schlittler last season, where he played about half the year until July in the AAA, did great in the AAA, debuted, and then was really important to the team towards the end of the season, even if it's in a role where maybe you're not in the starting five. Because I think by August, the Yankees starting five is going to be crazy and killer. But I do think that having a right-handed prospect coming down the line is huge for the Yankees, because we've talked about how they have too many left-handed batters, not too many, but a lot of
Enough.
left-handed batters,
Yeah.
enough. They also have enough left-handed pitchers. Both Fried and Rodon are left-handed, and I just think that if I were the Yankees, I would be really trying to get my right-handed pitching prospects to get to the MLB level, because much like any player on the Yankees, other teams have guys who can just crush lefties for whatever reason. So I think that him debuting will be awesome. And then following that is Carlos Legrand. I believe he said his name is pronounced.
Yeah, I think that's right.
He said something about it this week, and I believe he said that it was Legrand, but
It's
I
not
might be
LaGrange. I know that much because that's how
yeah,
I've always said it in my head. But
me too. But he is coming on Saturday, and he right now is the second ranked prospect in the Yankee system behind Lombard Jr.
yeah, so fellow righty, 6'7", 248. This guy, if you haven't seen his stuff, he is nasty. He was throwing 102 miles per hour in batting practice and stuff. He struck out Judge one time, but then he also gave up a home run to him one time too. So you win some, you lose some, right? It's Aaron Judge. But I mean, yeah, this kid, he didn't make it to AAA last year, but a 7-6 record in AA, 3.22 ERA, and 78 in the third inning. So overall, he didn't have as many quality starts as Rodriguez, if that's one of the main things you want to base it off of. I know they're kind of advanced stats that don't mean a whole lot at the end of the day. But when you look at it, Rodriguez last year, he threw 150 innings. He made 26 starts, and then he had those 14 quality starts. For Legraje, he ended up throwing, oh, wrong stat here. He was throwing a 3.53 ERA with 120 innings, and he made 23 starts with 7 quality starts. So 7 quality starts, 23 games started. That's really not too bad at all. That's still almost a third of the games he's doing quality starts. So still some really good stuff there. But I think with him, the thing is just his frame, his body, and his fastball, because that's the thing that everyone's going to focus on. I mean, you look at Jacob Mizorowski last year for the Brewers when he came in and he was just throwing 102, 103 miles an hour, made an all-star game in 5. I think he was 5 starts for the Brewers. I think if you're looking at the Yankees to have a guy like that, this is him. I mean, they're kind of the same. Like they're just these tall. He's nowhere near as heavy, but like they're just kind of tall, like goofy, silly little pitchers who are going to go out there and throw 100 miles an hour, and they can do it consistently. So I think for Carlos here, he had some very good starts last year. There was one game in AA he didn't start. I'm interested to see. I don't know exactly why he didn't start that game. He only started 15 of his 16, but again, I mean, he threw 78 innings in AA last year, so he's going to be, again, on pace to go. Maybe they start him in AA for some reason just to like do a couple starts and then go to AAA, but he's going to be on that same track where it's going to be him and Rodriguez all year long. They're going to be the 1-2. If you need a pitching prospect, who's it going to be? Which one's going to be better? I don't know. Like, I can't answer that question at this point in time. I need to see him through spring training. I need to see him through the minors. But I think, like you mentioned, like if you're going to compare him to Schlittler last year, where they're going to stay, I think that's the path. I think you have to keep these guys in the. Obviously, injuries can happen at any time. Like, say Cole has a setback, or say there's something goes wrong with Fried. He injures his elbow, he's out a month. Like, you're going to need someone to step up, obviously. I think the Yankees have a lot of depth in their starting rotation, but to also have two guys who are basically ready to be called up at any point in time. Again, you never want to rush them, but like, there aren't a lot of baseball teams out there who have two really, really quality pitchers just kind of waiting. Like, they're going to start in AAA. They're going to probably do really, really good. They're going to throw a lot of innings, have like that subpar 3 ERA, whatever it's going to be. But Saturday can't come soon enough, obviously. First home game for Yankees in spring training. Aaron Judge is making his debut in right field. And then you got LeGrand pitching, and I think he's going to be a huge, huge name to monitor all year long. There's not a lot of prospects in the world who can throw 102 miles an hour and strike out Aaron Judge. So if he can really live up to the hype and what we've seen so far, he's going to be a big-time player.
Yeah, I completely agree. And actually, speaking of Judge, I was a little bit surprised to find that they want him to be playing on Saturday, although, like you said, he will be missing some games for the World Baseball Classic because he's captain of Team USA, which I think will be super exciting to watch. I think that will actually be a real interesting Judge versus Otani comparison. I mean, the comparisons between the two of them never stop. They won't ever stop until one of them retires, and probably it'll keep going on after that as
Mhm.
well. So I'll be curious to see how Team USA does in the World Baseball Classic. But yeah, I think that Judge is such a good example, like the leadership that we were talking about. Something that I've really enjoyed seeing through this first full week of spring training is his practice with the ABS. Um, challenging the calls made by the umpires and using the ABS system. I think is really interesting because I know that he had some thoughts about it end of last season, earlier this year, where he said that he prefers human umpires and isn't necessarily 100% on board with using it, but obviously it's here whether Judge likes it or not. So, I saw a video of him successfully challenging a call from either today or yesterday. And I think that it speaks to sort of the kind of player that he is, where he is really getting down to the nitty gritty of like, let's be aggressive in using this challenge system, getting used to even just like the mechanics of deciding, okay, in this split second, I'm going to tap my helmet and I'm going to issue a challenge. And I think that probably for a Judge, who I think umpires there's a lot of calls on Judge. I think that he gets strikes called on him that are not necessarily strikes, and it's not even a matter of opinion. We know this because the viewers at home can look at the box and see that was outside of the strike zone, and yet there's sort of nothing that can be done about it. So I think it's interesting to have a player who will, in my opinion, benefit from ABS, also be a little bit trepidatious about it, but then at the same time, kind of be full throttle with, let's see how this works. Let's make sure that we're almost perfect with our execution. And I think that that sets obviously an example for all the other players.
I think that's a good point too, because obviously you're talking, we're not going to see every starter in every game in spring training or anything like that. But like, you've got the four guys we mentioned before, they're all going to get to test it out. Like, yeah, you can test it out with Aaron Boone behind the plate in batting practice, but that's not the same when there's 40, 50,000 fans screaming in the ninth inning of a ALDS game or whatever it is. Like, you need to know in that moment, hey, am I going to waste this challenge, or do I know this isn't? Like, there's just so many variables there, and a lighthearted spring training game in Sarasota, Florida is not going to give you that, not even close. But still, like, these are good reps, and I think they need to make the most of it. And for pitchers too, because they're going to learn real quick. Like, they think they know their strike zone and everything, but all of a sudden it just takes one Aaron Judge tap on the helmet and a strikeout turns into a walk. And those are the little things that are going to go really far this year. I think Judge in particular, there was an article, I forgot who wrote it, but it was talking about how he had like the most missed calls against him last year or the last couple of years, even whatever it was. I mean, he's just he's getting the superstar treatment, right? Like people know he's going to hit a home run. They know he's going to hit basically 400 every year, it feels like, with no limitations. I mean, for him to be able to have this now, like, add to his resume, you have to play the game. I know there were some pitchers or whatever saying, I'm never going to challenge a pitch. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. You're just missing out because everyone else is doing it. No one's cheating. No one's breaking the rules. You're playing the game. If this is the ball strike system we're going to do, if we're going to use these quote robot umpires, whatever it may be, you have to do it. Like that's just how it is. This is how the game's evolving. That's where things are going. And if in spring training you're not taking advantage of that, you're going to miss out on some big things in the regular season. So obviously he's going to start in right field and then he's going to DH. I think when you're just focused on hitting, you're going to worry about it a little bit more than playing in the outfield. You kind of have a little more on your plate, but we know Judge is playing 2 games. We already know he's playing in right field day 1 or day 2, technically, second game. And then Sunday, he's going to be playing as the designated hitter. So I'm thrilled to see him get some reps early because, again, even if it's just 1 or 2 at bats, these are still really key things to have. I mean, there's so many things to watch. We kind of mentioned everything for these first couple of games, but overall, I'm really excited. I think spring training is going to be a ton of fun this year. There's the pitching battles, there's inside shortstop positions and second base positions that are going to be, hey, who's going to run these? Where are we going to see? Who are we going to see where? I should say. But overall, yeah, I'm really excited. We aren't going to make any record predictions for spring training or anything like that. We're just giving our talking points as to some of the big storylines. But every Monday and Thursday, this is what we're going to do here on YouTube on the podcast, and it was our first episode. Now we've got some actual games coming up to talk about, and we've got a whole lot of talking points for Monday as well. But there's going to be a lot of things on our plate at all times, and I'm really excited. We couldn't have started this at a better time.
I agree. I think that, like you were saying earlier, baseball is such a great sport for if you love analysis, if you love to get into the nitty gritty of things, baseball is the sport for you because there is so much. I mean, compare it like you were saying to the NFL, where even your preseason is not, it's just not the same. There's no 6 week long ramp up. There's no, I mean, you play what two preseason games, and that's it. And of course that's the nature of the sport. You are not going to be playing a game every single day. If you play football, if you are, call somebody, because you need help. But yeah, I think that one of the best parts of just this game is the ability to really zoom out and say, okay, maybe I watched my team give up 11 runs and it was the worst game I've ever seen, but it's one of 162. And with spring training, I mean, it's such a good opportunity to see what those prospects have to offer, what you can maybe see down the line, and even change ups with like new players. I mean, we obviously don't have huge changes in the Yankees lineup this year, but Ryan Weathers is now off the Marlins. He's with the Yankees. I think that he'll be an interesting person to watch in spring training because he's just had such an interesting injury history. And he said a couple when he first got traded a few weeks ago to someone from SNY Yankees. He was saying, this is the best I've ever felt. This is the healthiest I've ever been. I think he could be a real asset. We're down. I think something that will be really interesting to watch that we'll probably get into more in a later episode is the Yankees relief pitching. Huge problem for them midway through last season. They really had to work to get some more relief pitchers. Obviously, they have Bednar now. I think Bednar is great, but they did lose Luke Weaver and Devin Williams both to the Mets. And even though they both didn't have particularly great seasons in 2025, that's why they had to go out and get those other pitchers. I think it's almost like they're running it back again, but with the same issues.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be interesting to watch. And I'm so excited for spring training. I'm so excited to have things to talk about on the pod. I think it's really going to be great. And even like, I wish that they could nationally televise every single Yankees spring training game because I would turn them on.
Mhm. I think there's like a couple, but they're on ESPN 1 year or 1 game. Like the Yankees Red Sox spring training games on ESPN. They announced like 4 spring training games that are on being ESPN, and that's one of them. So nice little exposure. But I mean, yeah, it's spring training at the end of the day. I wish they would broadcast them all. I don't care if there's no announcers. Like just give me the live feed. Like that's all I'm asking for. We're not asking for much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think so much fun can happen in spring training. I think the players know it too. Not to say that they wouldn't play their best, but they know that they're sort of warming up and ramping up. So I think that there's maybe a little bit more room for one of those, "Oh my god, what just happened?" moments than, the ones that happen during the regular season. So I think it'll be a really interesting spring training watch for every team, but for the Yankees in particular, I think have a lot of narratives that have been said about them the entire offseason. I think the offseason was a little bit tough for Yankees fans, and even Aaron Judge said the other day that it was killing him to watch them not make any moves and not sign Bellinger again for months and months and months. So I think that there's sort of a narrative building against the Yankees throughout since October. And I think that it'll be interesting to see if they can sort of break that narrative.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you put it all behind you. You hope that what you've done is enough, and we'll see. I definitely can't give an answer at this point in time if it's enough. This is a tough division. Like, this team's got their work cut out for them. But if they keep hitting the way they are and they actually fix their bullpen, I mean, starting pitchers are going to do their thing. So we've got some good prospects on the way. You've got a lot of areas to be concerned about, but at the end of the day, I think this is all around a really good team, and we're going to see that. I mean, in the next coming days, even.
Definitely. And so do you think that they're too close to running it back for 2025? Like I feel like that's the big question on everyone's minds. Is it not enough? Is it too similar to last year's team?
Yeah, I think in a way it's too similar for the fact that your biggest moves for the year, you got Ryan Weathers. Okay, good. You got someone, but your biggest move is bringing back Cody Bellinger. And I'm glad they held their ground. I'm glad they didn't overpay him. I think what he got is plenty. Obviously, he was an MVP 7 years ago at this point in time. So, like, I'm fine with Bellinger. Obviously, he's good, but I still don't think they've done enough with that bullpen. And I know we talked about it earlier, but I'm very, very confident in their starting 5. I mean, they've got, like,
Mhm.
7 pitchers, and if you add these 2, Rodriguez and Legrand, like, that's 9 guys who could, like, really be solid all around. It's just the things you never know, the injuries, the little things that can happen in a year. I mean, if this like, you never even wanna say it, but if Aaron Judge gets hurt in the middle of April and misses 4 months, what is this team gonna look like? They could be at the bottom of the division very easily, and by the time he's back, they could be out completely. So, I just think there were so many opportunities to add. I mean, even Suarez, you mentioned him at third base. Why couldn't you spend $15 million to go out and get him as a better replacement than a guy like Ryan McMahon? I know they're confident in McMahon, but I don't know. There was just little things where I understand you like what you have in the locker room, you like everything in the clubhouse, you like the guys you have all around, but you can always do more at the end of the day. And it's tough as a Yankees fan and this fan base I mean, even Aaron Judge to watch everyone else around them get better between the Orioles and the Mets and the Blue Jays and obviously the Dodgers too. Like, I'm not saying you had to spend $215 on Kyle Tucker. I'm just saying what you needed to do is do the little things right. And I don't think they necessarily did. They hammered 2 big things, but whether or not it's enough, I don't know. I'm leaning towards no at this point in time, but this team can certainly prove me wrong.
Yeah, I definitely think I agree with you. I mean, I don't necessarily want the Yankees to do what like the Dodgers do and acquire players that they seemingly don't really need. I don't
Mhm.
know that they needed Kyle Tucker, but they for sure got him. And like with Suarez, did they necessarily need to get Suarez? Maybe not, but certainly his bat would be a tremendous upgrade to McMahon's, and his defense is worse. But I think on a team where you are relying so much on your offense and less so your defense, you do have to make those sort of smaller moves, like you said. I think that they addressed the needs that they had, but in a way where it felt like that's what they set out to do. They said, this offseason, we're re-signing Cody and we're getting another starting pitcher. And that was the goal in October. And even as things progressed and things changed, I think that there were some surprising moves. Certainly, a good example of something I found surprising is Scooble on the with the Tigers. I feel like that relationship likely has broken down. Saying that you're going to go to arbitration with your arguably best player who just won a Cy Young Award, who's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and saying, "You want 30 million, we want to pay you 19. We're going to pay this other guy who's not as good more than you want."
Mhm.
I think that's crazy. And I think that had I been the Yankees, and I know Scooble's another lefty, they don't necessarily need another lefty, but I don't think it matters what hand you throw with if you can strike out that many batters. I don't think that the team would care. So instead of maybe even taking that into consideration, saying, "Hey, let's see what we can do there." Obviously, he's not a free agent; he can't choose to leave the Tigers, but the Yankees, I think, could be more aggressive. And that's just one example of how things change and things shift throughout the offseason. But it seems like they said, these are our two big goals. We accomplished them. Great. Like, let's see how it goes. And I'm for seeing how it goes. But I also think that the teams in this game who are the most successful are the teams who are aggressive and shake things up. And the Yankees seemingly don't have that same energy. Maybe they once did, maybe in the early aughts. They were the evil empire, but now I don't think that they even deserve that title anymore. I think that that's jumped coast to the Dodgers. So I think it'll be interesting. I certainly don't think that this is a bad team. I mean, last year at a certain point they led the division by, I think, like somewhere between 5 and 8 games. They had such a crazy lead and then hit just the saddest slump anyone's ever seen around May, June. And I will almost be surprised if that same thing doesn't happen again. I don't know if it'll be in that same order, but I could definitely see some struggles at the beginning that then have to be made up for with some pretty impressive offensive play at the end, which this is what these Yankees are known for and are good at. I mean, they hit something like 500 something home runs last year. They were the top of the board in every offensive metric. So I think it'll really is a wait and see kind of game.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, offense isn't everything, right? It doesn't matter if you have Aaron Judge on your team and if he could hit 4 home runs a game and they could still lose every single game of the year, you know? So it's just a complete team effort, and they missed out on quite a few big pitchers on the market. Obviously, Freddie Peralta was a big one.
Mhm.
Cabrera was another big one too, who went to the Cubs. But it's just that it never settle, right? Yes, you have your 2 missions. Yes, you check them both off, but that doesn't mean you have to stop there. And it's not like they didn't have the money either. It's not a money thing. It's just they for whatever reason they had in their mind what they wanted to do, they did it, and they were like, "All right, we can check out." And it took so long to do those 2 things. Like it didn't even yeah, the Weathers trade came kind of early, but the Bellinger thing just dragged on forever, and it was just no one knew at any point what was going to happen anymore. It always seemed like he was a lock to come back, but I mean, they had people questioning everything at one point. So I think this team on paper is really good. It's just a matter of will they be able to put all of the pieces together for a full season through the playoffs and be able to get over that hump? Because I mean, this fan base is dying for a World Series win. Yeah, making it there is one thing, but I mean, can you get over the hump and pull through? We'll see. This seems like it could be one of the years to do it. I mean, I feel like I don't want to say their window is closing, but it's dwindling. It's diminishing. If you
Mhm.
waste Aaron Judge's prime and don't get him a ring, you're never going to hear the end of it. So that's certainly something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I definitely think, I mean, the Yankees got so lucky in 2016 with Judge. I mean, he fell to the very back of the first round of the MLB draft. So it's incredible that they landed another franchise player. I mean, so shortly after, like, I feel like this looming shadow of A-Rod, of Jeter, of course, to get a player of Judge's caliber and then not be able to make it work because you're not able to, maybe the ownership doesn't want to spend the extra 20 million, or like, in my opinion, I think Boone kind of loves to give players a chance a little bit longer than he should. I think Volpe's a great example of that. He got far too many starts last season. Hopefully, I mean, all the best to him. I hope he recovers okay. And certainly, I think that, like you said, he works hard. He wants to play well. I think that there's no one on this team who wishes they were playing better more than Anthony Volpe. But I think that had they been a little bit more honest and given him more rest, or even, said, okay, we'll option you back down to the AAA and you can kind of get your groove back. It seemed like he had the yips for a while.
Yeah.
Um, I think that would have been an interesting decision, but in my opinion, Boone is really married to being like, this is the player for us. We really believe in him. And like, that's great if you're in Field of Dreams, but this is real life. Um, so yeah, I think that this club could they have all the tools and all the resources to be on that elite level, and just for whatever reason the past couple years, I mean, obviously they made the World Series in 2024, so it's not like there's nothing, but I do think that when you have the sort of pedigree that the Yankees have, fans are expecting you to go out there and have this sort of sustained dominance that it doesn't seem like the Yankees are putting in the effort really required for that in the landscape of the game. But like we were saying, it is only spring training. I mean, we could be eating our words 2 months from now. They haven't lost a single game somehow. Who even knows? But I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I mean, Boone, you never know what could happen there. Another year for disappointment, another couple of years of that. Like, how long does he really get either? But I know we'll be up Monday. We'll have a whole lot more to talk about. But it's just really interesting because, yes, spring training is here and you want to focus on that. But there's so many other overarching themes that you need to look at because, like I said, this division is the toughest in baseball. And I wouldn't say by far. So for them to go out and make a couple moves, that's great. But nothing. I don't want to say nothing in spring training matters because that's a complete lie. But until we get some consistent play out of these guys in late March, early April, where we see, okay, this team has a glaring issue here, or this team needs to improve in this area, or this person's overachieving, or whatever it may be, there's a whole lot of things we're going to be able to talk about all year long. But right now, with what we have, I just don't think this team has enough. I mean, because offensively, it takes superhuman efforts from everyone to be able to. Yes, the bullpen could turn around and be lights out, but that's not going to last the whole year. If it's all of a sudden a 1 month stretch where they're perfect, great. That's all you need. If it's late in the year, if that's June and then the next 2 months you're not doing well, that's a whole nother conversation to be had. But like I said, we'll be back again Monday, obviously, but it's just really fun to dive into these things. And we've got a whole season ahead of us, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to talk about the games that will have happened between now and Monday on that day, and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Subscribe, do all that good stuff, guys. Give us those
Absolutely.
reviews on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And thank you. I mean, whether you're watching, listening, whatever it may be, just keep supporting us. We'll be writing Yankees on SI. We'll be here talking each and every week, twice a week, 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour. Who knows how long we'll be talking, whatever we got to talk about. But I can't wait. Thanks, Delia, for a great first episode.
Thanks, Jordan.